was a challenge. And with new feelings and excitement, we have made it to 2022. And I hope the new year will be auspicious for the whole world and humanity. The coronavirus pandemic, which has brought about a major blow on the world, and also the economic problems triggered with it, seemingly will continue to impact everyone, us included, from healthcare services to medical supplies, all the way to vaccines. The unfairness the pandemic did lay bare indeed showed how important it is for us to achieve our goals. Clearly, over the past years, in terms of the advancement, and thanks to the advancement our country has achieved in the infrastructure it has, our country has positively distinguished itself from the rest of the world. Even though some try to upset our nation, sometimes using fabricated news, sometimes through manipulations, everyone indeed appreciates the position Turkey is on in the face of the pandemic. Just the other day, we declared the figures for export for 2021. Last year, Turkey continued with its fast growth tendency. The capacity usage ratio in industry has made it to almost 80%, and in terms of employment, we have registered an increase of additional 2 million jobs. In the past year, the global export increased only by 10%. However, we grew our volume by 33%, and we showed our difference. 225 billion, 300 million dollar export volume has made Turkey achieve 1% of the world export figures overall. Our export volume, which was only $36 billion when we took office, has increased by six-folds. Likewise, our foreign trade volume, which was only 88 billion when we took office, has come to almost 500 billion. As of last year, our current account deficit fell down to 46 billion, and the import-to-export ratio has come to 83%. This figure was only 51% in the beginning of 2000s, I would like to remind you all. In our foreign trade, our currency's usage amount increased to 183 billion, which is an important development. We shared some details during the press meeting we made today. Our 2021 export volume, which stands at $225 billion, hopefully will be auspicious for our people. I would like to congratulate all institutions, all our business world representatives and workers, employees for their great contributions to our export volume. For the next years, to increase our export volume even higher, we have many plans, programs, and projects which we will apply. And in a determined way, we will be practicing these all one by one, and we hope to give better news to our people. We near more to our goals of a country which has a current account surplus. Another sector which was very fruitful last year and closed with positive figures was the field of tourism. To tackle the pandemic-related negative impacts, we took many measures, provided many incentives and support programs, and we left a season in which we reaped the fruits of that. With more than 29 million visitors, tourists, and with more than $24 billion tourism income, we closed the previous year. On a year-on-year basis, the number of the visitors increased by 83%. When it comes to the income, this corresponds to 100% of increase. Thanks to the public-private sector cooperation, the great movements we have made not only compensated for what we had lost, however, we, on the other hand, left our peers, our competitors in the Mediterranean basin behind. And now the goal is to achieve even higher figures than the pre-pandemic period and achieve higher figures of income. And 2021 has this way been very successful, and 2022 will be a very profitable, a very fruitful year for everyone. I would like to thank to all members of the tourism industry for their great success. I would like to extend my gratitude on my own behalf and my nation's. And about COSGAP incentives, using this opportunity, I would like to share some good news with you. As known, in April, for micro and small enterprises, we supported a FAST initiative program. And the scope of this program will be expanded even further to support young entrepreneurs. We will be preserving the number of the entrepreneurs over the past 12 months, but we will also make sure that the enterprises that make commitments to support young entrepreneurs will receive an incentive of 100,000. For micro and small enterprises, this incentive will be applied for up to 5 people as staff, and they will be able to pay it back, the enterprises, in 2 years with no interest applied. And this way we will be making sure that many new and young people indeed take part in the employment of our country. And our aim is to increase the number of people who join more higher and higher. Investment, export, production, and growth and export were of the figures our country grew on. The world economy did shrink by 5.3%, while we closed the year with a growth of 1.8%. In 2021, when the global economy started recovering, I believe we will be more successful in 2022. In the first quarter of the year, 7.4, and in the second quarter, 22, and the 4% of growth in the third quarter of the year, 2021, gave the signals of that. During the pandemic, we were among the top countries who recovered the fastest and the most effective way. In an era when the balance of the power in the world is being restructured, this performance of our country brought us near to our goal of making it to the top 10 economies of the world. Of course, in this process, we have faced some challenges and some hefty prices we paid. One was about the issue for Forex, which was not related with the realities of our country. Unbalanced fluctuations, this was. The increase in the Forex was to a certain degree in compliance with the needs of our country and also the export volume of our country. However, after a point, it went beyond the free market rules and turned into manipulations behind which some had ulterior motives. Certain academics, media institutions, or financiers started a synchronized campaign that gave the forex an increasing trend. If you remember, a few years ago, we encountered some similar traps and some similar attacks. Uh, Thanks to the measures we have taken and the mechanisms we developed, the heinous attacks that were not in compliance with the free market rules were stopped in the past. Beyond that, there were some who wanted to achieve the same goal by creating speculations. However, when they saw that the fluctuations did not go as they wished, we on December 20 shared a package of measures and have ensured that the markets are rebalanced to a significant degree. Of course, the mechanisms we create to render our economy resilient against such external attacks indeed was also established within the country. Citizens who wanted to preserve the value of their currency so that the alternatives we offered for the business world have also adopted our measures. In a very short period of time, a transition from a foreign currency to Turkish lira by 78 billion is an indicator of the trust our citizens have for our local currency. Having included the financial institutions, we are going to expand the scope of that for the stability and trust climate of our economy, and for it to grow in a healthy way. This approach will be supported with new instruments and methods and will be further strengthened in 2022. The package of measures we declared indeed was created thanks to the opportunities the executive presidential system provided and all of other measures that could be practiced through our institutions and authorities have been put to use. The central bank deposit accounts and gold or foreign currency accounts and their conversion to Turkish lira related measures have been officially published. The amounts converted will be exempted from compulsory reserves, while the stamp tax, the income tax, was nullified. For the exporting and importing companies, Turkish lira due date foreign currency sales took start, and the income tax amount was brought down to zero for such sales. The income tax applied for dividends was brought down as well from 20 to 15. The junk gold valuation minimum figures also have been changed. Banks or the printing houses and now will be instrumental in ensuring that the citizens could carry their assets to physical environments, and the accounts opened in banknote printing houses will also be able to demand it in physical forms and banknotes if the citizens demand, and the relevant protocol will be put to practice before long. When it comes to the issues that demand legal regulations, we have completed all our preparations. For Turkish lira, treasury support will be offered for the import and export industrial companies. For corporate tax, a reduction of 1% will be practiced. When it comes to individual pension systems, the state incentive will increase from 25% to 30%. When it comes to investment funds, the profit shares will be applied with exemptions, and the bonds that are indexed to income will be further optimized, And all relevant regulations and legal amendments will be submitted to the Assembly for ratification. When it comes to the raw material supply, the challenges, the problems in terms of supply chain and unexpected price increases in inputs will be addressed from a perspective of price differences, and this will be presented to the Assembly for their review. We have delivered on all the promises we have made for our nation, and we will continue to fulfill our promises after this point as well. My great nation, last year we were all hurt by another problem, which was a high inflation and another thing that goes beyond that, extreme price increases. The price increases in our country stemmed from two main reasons. One was related with the extreme price increases in the global commodity prices in the face of the pandemic. So much so that the oil prices in the world doubled. The coal prices increased by four folds, and natural gas by maybe five or six folds. The metal and mineral prices increased by 50%. Agricultural products increased by 25%. The extreme increase in energy prices indeed made many countries increase the utility prices by three folds on average. However, we, just like in many other subjects, for energy prices as well, have followed a path to protect our citizens. Last year, the electricity was supplied with prices that was almost half of the regular prices, and also for natural gas and also oil we offered very low prices, and this way in 2021 for the favor of our nations, in natural gas 80 billion, in electricity 20 billion, and in fuel oil 65 billion lira of sacrifice has been made by the public institutions for the good of our people. In other words, the electricity, power, utility bills of 165 billion liras that would normally come out of the pockets of our citizens was paid by public institutions. So for the next year, the support of public institutions will continue. Likewise, the natural gas and households and power bills have been regulated for the favor of our citizens. I will be sharing a very simple calculation with you. In 2002, 150 kilowatts of electricity and 125 cubic meters of natural gas would cost for a single citizens 48% of minimum wage. However, the same amount of power and natural gas amount will only correspond to 13% of the minimum wage. As seen, we do not let our citizens be oppressed by extreme high prices. And using this opportunity, the coal support incentive supplies also can be given in a form of a natural gas state incentive to the citizens who are willing to take. And in fuel oil, the normal tariffs have been applied, and depending on the number, the trends of the world prices, the tariffs, regular tariffs, have been practiced. However, as compared to the price increases in other parts of the world, our citizens have access to fuel oil at more reasonable prices. Considering the more stabilized forex and also lowering prices, the pressure on fuel oil, on petroleum, will also be reversed, as might be expected. And in the world, in our country as well, the vegetable oil price increases has come to 70%, and sugar 50%, and grains 32%. The increase on the supermarket shelves to a certain degree was related with the global pricing. However, some increases in some specific products were not related with neither the global commodity prices nor the fluctuations in the foreign currency rates, as we observe. That's why we have given all the instructions to the relevant authorities for them to observe all relevant procedures. And within the same framework, law amendment which will increase the amounts of fines who practice stockpiling will be soon ratified, hopefully. As a country that goes in harmony with the world markets, we also are impacted, of course, by the price increases in the world, no matter if we want it or not. The price increases in the world are not peculiar to our country only. In particular, the developed and developing countries do face very serious price increases in the world. When it comes to the US, for example, over the past 40 years, for Germany and France over the past 30 years, for the UK and Italy for the past 12 years, have been struggling with the highest inflation rates, and the consumer price index and the production price indexes show that such struggles will continue. And in front of our country, there is a reality of inflation. For 2021, our inflation rate was officially declared as 36%. But first things first, no matter what the reason is, we are upset because our citizens had to endure such a picture. In Turkey's history, we have been the administration that has fought the inflation in the most severe way and reduced it in the most significant way possible. And we are determined to bring the inflation rates to single-digit figures. The fact that the inflation rates turned out to be such high indeed goes beyond the global price index and commodity prices, but also it is related with the forex fluctuations. When we removed that of the forex rates, a more realistic picture appeared, and we will do that for inflation as well. In 2018, when we faced another foreign currency attack, we endured another picture similar to that. And we again reduced inflation rates by almost half then. And this year, hopefully, we will be reducing the inflation rates even further. Along with that, we have not left a single citizen under the load of price increases, and we will never leave them. We will not have our citizens be crushed or oppressed under high inflation rates, and we, for that reason, have taken many measures, and we will continue to take measures. The minimum wage increase by 50% is an example to give for that, and we have made an increase in minimum wages, which indeed was much better. And some other subsidies also have been increased in ratio and figures. For the public workers, pertaining to the collective bargaining, a total of 28% of increase has been materialized for their salaries. Not only that, but also the 5% collective bargaining increase was materialized as 7.5%, which made it much higher for the public servants and for the people whose spouses do not work more than 500 liras. For the children, for their children over the age of 6, they will be receiving additional incentives. And there will be also exemption for the income and stamp taxes for the minimum wages, and we can also add around 288 liras of monthly increase when all calculated. Now we can talk about the retired. I guess many people expect to hear the news about that. When it comes to the pensions, generally speaking, as there has been an increase as much as inflation rates. We already do that, but in addition to that, the retired people who receive lower pensions will now be receiving a minimum amount pertaining to the new regulation. No one retired will receive a pension less than 2,500 per month. This way, the pensions of more than 1,266,000 retired who used to get around 1,500 or more will at minimum get 2,500, and additional inflation differences will be added to the pensions of many in accordance with various specific calculations. The historic steps we have taken for the economic development of the world of our country has now been crowned with our new economic program, and we promise for that, with investment, with employment, production, export, and the current account balance. Turkey Turkey is going to be among the top 10 economies of the world, and we have neared that goal as we have never before. In the past, the plots of the tutelage, political instability, terror, or military coups, and many other traps made us in the past miss on such an opportunity. But with the support of our people and also grace of God, we will not let history repeat itself, and we will not face the same frustrating picture, and we will not pay the same heavy prices. Because this time we have a great know-how and a great experience, and many things we have claimed that we can never give up on now. Over the past 20 years, we have very successfully passed many tests with our nation. The power of tutelage was together tackled. The infrastructure of development has been strengthened together. We have increased the standards of democracy altogether. All freedom and liberties and their scope have been expanded altogether with our nation. And now I would like to make a call specifically on our nation who watches us on their TVs. We are in love with you. We are a power that is concerned, that concerns itself with your concerns, and we are determined to take our last breath even fighting all terror groups from PKK to FETÖ. We crushed all terror groups all together. We endured and resisted against the irregularities of the global system. We have frustrated the imperialists who made it all the way to our borders. We resisted against the coup makers on the streets together, in the air, on the land, and over the seas. We defended the interests and rights of our country again altogether. And now we will be achieving our goals for economy and show the same success altogether again. And no success or no challenge we endured. And every sweat a drop of sweat we did a break, and every source of hope we have will not go to avail, and we will observe that altogether. As long as we hold tightly on our togetherness, fraternity, and unison, we will do that. As long as we concentrate on our 2023 goals and hold tightly and embrace own up to our 2053 vision, we will do it. As long as we close our doors to dissension, lies, hypocrisy, and the manipulations of some, we will do it. Just like today's Turkey is much, much beyond the Turkey of past decades, the future Turkey of the next 5 years, the next decade, or the next 2 or 3 more decades to come will be much more different than today. We fully trust in you, and we expect you to trust in us. May God bless you all. My great nation, with the new variants and threats and strains, the coronavirus continues to threaten the whole world. And now the pandemic is at our doors with the Omicron strain now. Even though the number of the reported cases has increased in terms of hospitalization and fatalities, the figures seem not to be very much concerning. And our locally developed vaccine, Turkowak, will make us much more resilient, effective, and faster. And we have now such tools of protection. We expect our nation to abide by the rules of wearing masks, watching social distancing, and washing hands and cleanliness. And we expect more patience from our people, a little bit of more attention. In particular, the more we adhere to those measures enclosed in indoor areas, the more we will be successful. Turkowak will be practiced, has been put to practice gradually across the country, and we know that our citizens who have a high level of responsibility will receive their jobs of vaccine. And in the pace of this pandemic, education will also be among our priorities. In the world, we were among the first who said that the schools were the places that should be opened first and closed the last. The teachers in our country received their at least 2 doses of vaccine, and our success ratio is even higher than many developed countries, including the UK, Germany, France. What we expect from our students and teachers is for them to continue with their education and studies in the best way possible, and we expect our students to be educated as uh, people who truly deserve their great country. The number of the teachers who increased dramatically over the years to make it to almost 2.5 million also are attached with great importance. We attach importance to their professional development. Last year, the ministry organized many trainings for teachers, and the participation rate increased by 34% on a year-on-year basis. Per teacher, the hours of classes delivered has been have been 93.4 hours, and this will even be more productive. And last year, we made sure that at every school we had a library, and we aim to increase the number of the books more than 100 million. The teaching professional law was prepared and submitted to the Assembly on the last day of 2021. When this law is put into effect, we will have taken a great step ahead in terms of teaching practice. The 3308 professional teaching law has been amended in its two phrases. The state authorities will be paying one third additionally, one third of their regular wages, minimum wages additionally. And all these regulations have reflected on the number of the students immediately. The number of the students at the vocational centers has increased to 235,000 from 159. And our goal is to increase the number of students at vocational trainings and education centers to 1 million. And this way, we will have increased the number of students and also tackle the problem of not being able to find well qualified people. And we will be throwing that problem down to the trash of history, and it will be well gone. Thank you all very much. Stay in health.